Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World. My name is Marie Caso. Today we are at the European Financial Congress in the beautiful resort town of Sopot, and I'm joined by Jyrki Katainen, Head of Group Public Affairs at Nordea, but also Finland's former Prime Minister and also the former Vice President of the European Commission. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. So we are recovering from the runoff of the Polish presidential election. Some of us have been up all night following the numbers, so I have to ask you a couple of questions about that. We see that Karol Nawrocki will be the next president of Poland, and I wanted to ask you, with all this commotion with the elections, I wanted to ask you, where do you think Poland will be when it comes to its footing in Europe, but also on the international arena? And also, most importantly, from your point of view, now that you are in the business world, when it comes to foreign direct investment?
Well, the democracy has spoken, and we have to go forward now after the elections. Elections are, especially presidential elections, are always in all the country very emotional. And you had exceptionally tight race, but now focus should be looking forward. So I hope that the result would not change that much when it comes to Poland's role in international fora, because I've been very happy to follow the rise of Poland in the EU decision making. Poland has become a very strong player, and especially during the time when the previous German government and President Macron in France were in trouble in their own countries. Polish Prime Minister Tusk took a bigger role, and it was very much needed. So Poland, I've been in politics for quite a long time, and I don't remember when was the next time when Poland was so strong and so influential. So as an EU citizen, I do hope that this line will continue. And of course, if the overall picture of your country is positive, it's seen as a country which can do decisions, which is well connected everywhere, it's a kind of a pull factor for foreign direct investments.
The government has been working very hard to boost foreign direct investment. I think that's been a huge focus of the government. Do you think that this will change, that this might discourage foreign direct investors?
Not necessarily, and I mean, this is normal democracy. People have selected their best candidate, and now it's better not to concentrate on what has happened type of things, but what should happen in the future type of things. So Polish reputation currently is very positive. You have very strong economy, you are militarily very strong, all the figures are going the right direction, and like I said, Prime Minister Tusk is well received and recognized political figure on European political scene. So I do hope that Poland keeps this strong position, because especially for Northern Europeans, we like the Polish very pragmatic, concrete and proactive, positive role in EU decision making.
This year has been full of elections all over Europe. We have another set of elections coming up in October in the Czech Republic. And we see that Babiš is looking to be a very strong candidate. He might win. And then we'll see 3 out of 4 V4 countries that will be led by Eurosceptic politicians. And we'll have Nawrocki as a Eurosceptic president. What does that actually mean in terms of what is happening in Europe?
If putting this to the bigger picture, the EU is the only large economic area which still believes in liberal democracy, rule of law, open and fair trade, rules-based world order, and civic liberties like freedom of speech and human rights and stuff like this. So this time is not right time to just criticize what EU has done or done too little. This is the time when all of us who defend these values and who defend this European way of life, we have to stand up and start defending and developing the EU. I'm saying this to industry representatives. We can't be silent. We have to select the side We have to start promoting the values we believe in and tell what is the good environment for doing business. So this is what Nordea is doing. We are very actively participating to decision making in the EU level because we want to shape the EU for better and make it more competitive and more open. So there are political tendencies and election results may vary, but I do hope that European leaders understand that we are in the middle of a very special moment where in one hand the United States is challenging us, Russia from the other side, and China is the third angle. So we have to defend ourselves and make ourselves more competitive. And here we need more responsible, moderate and business voice.
Moving on to broader European matters, we have defence as a number one priority in Europe, and the EU has just recently adopted SAFE, Security Action for Europe, 150 billion euros as a loan for EU member states to broaden their defence capabilities. It's not a lot. Why so little? Why is it a loan? Is it just a symbolic gesture? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's not little, but it's not enough. But even more important than the amount of money is that it tries to encourage to do joint procurement between the member states. And this is something we haven't done before. So in order to boost our defense industries, in order to give them some vision for the future, we need bigger deals. And this means that member states should team up together and do joint procurement. Of course, it's positive for the member states because the unit cost may come down, but at the same time, it's very good for our industries producing those capabilities when they get bigger deals made with a bunch of member states. So I find this SAFE instrument useful from this perspective. Then we can always talk about how much money there should be. So if member states are ready, they can increase the amount of money in the next MFF, multi-annual financial framework.
I'm going to challenge that just a little bit later on because SAFE provides 30 billion euros for Poland, which is actually just a drop in the ocean in terms of what Poland needs, because a Deloitte report assessed that Poland needs 500 billion in the next couple of years. So if Poland takes 30 billion out of that, then we can just calculate that other member states will need even so much more. So how does that actually work? Because it will just be a little bit for each member state. Will that actually make a difference?
Yeah. I mean, the SAFE is a loan facility.
And it's a loan, so
it's a loan facility because I mean, the EU don't have those means to finance all the member states' defense. So it's up to the member states themselves to increase
capabilities. The needs for defense are so urgent.
Sure. But then the member states should be ready to prioritize their public budget. So. The EU MFF, the EU budget, multi-annual budget, they don't have free money for defense because the EU doesn't have competence as such in defense policies. So in that sense, it's quite a big shift already now to establish this type of SAFE instrument, which is providing loans for the cheaper price than many member states can get from the market. But it's up to the member states to decide whether they want to be safe, whether they want to invest in defense, and they should. So the EU cannot replace the political will of member states.
We have The Hague hosting the NATO summit this month, and all member states are supposed to commit to raising their defense contributions to 5%. I wanted to ask you, do you think, first of all, that member states will indeed do that? Do you think it's feasible that they raise it up to 5%? And how long is this feasible for?
Well, I think the 5% will include two compartments. The first one is like 3.5% hard military and 1.5% soft military or soft defense. So hard military means artillery, missiles, air missile defense systems, etc. So I mean capabilities. And the soft one means education and supporting elements. So in that sense, I guess 5% is doable in some foreseeable future. So this is my guess how it will be divided. So even the United States cannot afford to raise their military expenditure to 5% because now Trump administration
Poland's doing pretty well, though.
Yeah, Poland is probably the only one, and Estonia the second one who can do it. But the rest are a little bit question mark. Finland is doing 3.5 in 5 years' time. So we have to raise awareness among the EU member states. So that all corners of Europe are involved in this challenge, because I believe that investing in defense systems can be the single biggest driver of economic growth, because looking at the United States, the technology sector has been so dependent on military expenditure. So the EU countries have never tested or tried the similar lever, to use the similar lever. So now when we are investing in new technologies, it can boost the civil economy at the same time.
Can you give me some names in terms of the countries you think will commit and how much they might commit?
I don't know. I mean, it's more or less public information you can read from the papers. But I mean, there are a few countries like Germany has promised to do something. Finland, Sweden, Poland, Baltic countries. So we are probably the forerunners in this development. And I believe that around this Baltic Sea area, when all the countries around the Baltic Sea are investing massively more to the defense sector, this is the part of Europe where technology development is the fastest, and our societies will benefit a great deal of this overall technology development.
Well, it'll be good to see who actually puts their name to paper. Moving on to international trade, obviously, given all the tensions, we are at a precipice, and no one really knows where it's heading. I think that's probably where part of the uncertainty is coming from. I wanted to ask you, do you think that there is a chance that the EU will actually manage to negotiate something with the US, or is it really a victim of what the US and China will negotiate, because now tensions are rising again between the two?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question, because the facts don't necessarily matter that much in these negotiations. So the initial offer from the EU side was to abolish all the tariffs. And I mean, we are free trader as a union, but apparently Americans have not been interested in this. What I have heard from these negotiations is that it's very difficult to negotiate with Americans, because nobody knows who are the right person to negotiate with. And American negotiators, as much as they are known, don't necessarily want to have physical meetings where normal kind of discussions usually occurs. So technically speaking, it has been quite challenging, at least up until now. Hopefully it gets better, but as I said, normal common sense or facts don't necessarily play this big role in these negotiations. But I must say that we have other good opportunities. EU has negotiated with Mercosur countries, Latin American countries like Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay trade agreement, and now it's up to the member states to approve it. Poland, Belgium, Ireland, some other countries have been opposing
France hasn't been too keen.
France also opposing this trade deal, but now I do hope that the leaders would see the opportunities which this trade agreement would give to European companies. So at the same time, when Trump is raising tariffs and creating trade barriers, we are abolishing trade barriers, and that's why if the member states would approve this trade agreement with the Mercosur country, it would form the world's largest free trade zone, and it's ultimately very beneficial for the European economy. I also hope that negotiations between the EU and India can come to the end by the end of the year. It would be another big trade agreement, and we should continue on this path, because we are free traders. The trade represents so large part of our economy, and it brings well-being and welfare to our citizens.
Okay, Jyrki Katainen, Head of Group Public Affairs at Nordea and former Prime Minister of Finland and former Vice President of Economic Affairs at the EU Commission. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And that's a wrap for World Talks on TVP World. Thank you so much for joining us. I was Marie Cato.